Welcome guys, I hope you will be fine. Let's start review of movie. The film is set in Scotland in 1954. This movie tells about the sexual addiction of a young man whose sexual addiction unfulfilled and he continues to find for more to fulfill his sexual addiction. If you like my video then please like and subscribe. Movie name is Young Adam. The whole story rounds around the main character Joe, who can do everything for his passion without care of others' feelings. One day, a young man Joe is sitting on the beach where he meets with Kathy. They talk with each other and becomes friends. They meet with each other on daily basis. During their meetings, physical relation creates so many times. Joe starts to live with Kathy. Joe has no any topic on which he could write a novel. Kathy starts to work in an office. Joe takes drugs whole day in the home because he doesn't do any work. When Kathy returns home from office, she wants to talk with him, but Joe shows anger. On daily basis, then Kathy becomes angry because of Joe's daily routine drama. There becomes quarrel between Joe and Kathy. Joe leaves Kathy's home and goes from there. Joe goes to a stream and throws his typewriter bag in the canal. He meets with Les. Les offers him job on the barge and he accepts his offer. Les lives on the boat with his wife Ella and son Jim. Joe starts to live on the boat with Les, Ella, and their son Jim. Kathy comes to meet with Joe. Joe and Kathy reunite on the waterfront and intimate beneath a parked truck. They meet on daily basis having physical relation. Kathy tells Joe that she is pregnant and wants to marry with him, but Joe refuses for marriage and says that he is not able to marry with her. By saying this, he starts to leave Kathy, but Kathy tries to stop him. She runs behind him for stopping, but Kathy's foot slips and she falls into the water. Joe makes no move to rescue her and, when she fails to surface, he panics and runs away. Next day, Joe and Les pulls the body of Kathy dimly, naked except for a petticoat, from the water. Joe and Les informs police about Kathy's dead body. Joe doesn't tell anyone that he knows Kathy. He sees Ella many times and one day he tries to touch Ella's private parts by using hand under the table. Ella leaves this table. Joe and Les go to a local pub to play darts. Joe leaves Les behind and returns to the barge. Joe tries to have physical relations with Ella. Not wanting to disturb the sleeping Jim, the two engage in intimate on the footpath. Les eventually becomes aware of Ella and Joe's affair and moves out of the barge. He leaves Ella. Ella and Joe drift into a more serious relationship. Ella says to Joe about marriage, but Joe doesn't want to marry with her. One day when Ella receives the news about her brother-in-law has died, she and Joe visit her sister Gwen and invite her to spend a couple of weeks with them. One evening, on the pretext Gwen wants to see a movie, Gwen and Joe leave the barge and go to a pub. After a few drinks, the two intimate in an alleyway. Eventually, Ella awares about physical relationship about Joe and her sister. She also leaves the barge. When Ella leaves the barge, then Joe becomes very upset and leave the barge. Gwen becomes very sad. Joe goes to a bar and there he meets with a man who offers Joe to live with him with very less amount of money. Joe accepts and goes with the man in his home, where he meets with his wife and creates physical relations. Past and present converge. Daniel Gordon, a plumber whom Kathy was casually seeing, is arrested and tried for her murder of Kathy, and Joe spends a few days in the courtroom listening to testimony. Guilt-stricken, Joe writes an anonymous note in which he tells that Kathy's death was an accident and Daniel Gordon is not guilty, but it has no effect on the trial, and Daniel is found guilty and sentenced to be hanged. Joe is unwilling to risk his life. Joe opts not to confess how Kathy really. Thanks for watching.